Three, two, one. What's going on, everyone? It's Ash on Comics time. It's not really a late start. Look at that. 11 minutes after I promised. You got the music intro, which I do about 10 minutes. And here I am. Knock on wood, no technical difficulties. Got other issues going on, but won't talk about those right now. Christopher Barker is a new name to me. He's a number one tonight. Good to see you, buddy. So with all the hype around the Snyder Cut, I doubt the film will live up to said hype. I'm going to get to that. Melissa Harris is number 2. It's never good to be number 2, because you know what number 2 means. But good to see you, Melissa. Doing my midterm while listening, says Jimmy. Well, if you want to make your midterm really stand out, listen to Ash on Comics while you're doing it. That will give you all the inspiration you need. Dane is here. Eric is here, multitasking. He's got Comics Division in one ear, Ash in the other. Good to see you, Eric. And let's see. Melissa says playing softcore HBO. Oh, Ash is playing that. Oh, yeah. So, okay. That's funny. So, what you guys were listening to, I just went on search on Google Play Music, which is the music service I use. Normally, I just grab something off of YouTube, and I do some like chill step music or whatever. But I was like, you know what? In lieu of what happened Tuesday night, I'm going to get some royalty-free music. So I went on my Google Play Music account, which, by the way, Google, that is the dumbest name for a service. I don't know what it is with Google and their names. The only thing that they have that is a good name is YouTube, and that's because YouTube existed before Google. They didn't create it. But everything else has the dumbest generic names. But whatever. It's a good service, and it also gives me YouTube Premium included. So that makes it better than Spotify or any of the other type of channels, in my opinion. Although I might have to switch over to Spotify because Joe Rogan's going over there. And I do like my Joe Rogan. But anyway, so I went on and looked for some royalty-free music that didn't suck. And I came across this cool... I like funk beats and stuff. And so this Funky Sirens Cop... It's called Funky Sirens Cop Flick Movie Soundtrack is the name of that. And so in lieu of what would happen, I was like, you know what? I'm going to put up something that's royalty free. No one's going to strike me for, because I don't know. YouTube still doesn't tell you why they strike you. So there's a number of things they could have done, and I'm going to try to narrow it down and see if I continue to get struck. But that's what you heard there. So it wasn't supposed to be porn music, but I guess you could have a funky cop porn. Let's see. Eric Breen says, good evening. Let's see. Eric says, are we getting America tonight or just a boring other stuff? You got America last night. And I can't do it again tonight because I think America might be one of the things. See, it's like Clue. Remember that the board game Clue? Or the movie. They made a movie of it. But, it's like, who did it? But it's like, why was they can make a whole game out of this? Why was the video taken down? It's like Ash did it with America Chavez and with a monkey wrench. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Dane says, did you see the message I sent in Ash's Discord? That was funny, Dane. I am considering getting that shirt. I can't decide though if I want to get it in Trump red, or would it be racist but funnier if I got it in brown? I don't know, but it's a funny shirt. I think the red makes it play off the parody better, but the brown makes it kind of more of a joke and slightly more racist. I don't know. Maybe I'll get my ass kicked. I do live in San Diego. I don't know how many people would even get it. Eric says I missed it, but I bet it was awesome. Eric, you need to see it. It's a t-shirt. It says Make America Chavez Again. Yeah, it's it's the national treasure. Someone, as the president of the America Chavez fan club, Eric, you need to have that shirt. Um, Dane says he says FF double double, so boring stuff. All the excitement was last time, and I missed it. Yep, I'm sorry, it's not even there for you to enjoy because they just yanked it. I don't even have a copy myself, so that sucks. Um, Eric says you have my undiluted attention. Oh, did Comics Division stop streaming? Um, let's see. Chris Barker says YouTube is king and Apple and Spotify suck. Well, they're slightly different. However, Joe Rogan is going to Spotify because YouTube actually censors everyone, and Joe apparently is tired of it. I don't blame him. Plus, Spotify said we'll give you $100 million. So, makes kind of big sense. And I'm all for the platform that doesn't censor. And the thing about it that a lot of listeners, myself included, we don't realize what's being censored because it's not like we see it. And I found out that Joe had one of his entire shows taken down. So what happened to me last night also happened to Joe Rogan. And apparently he had some sort of scientist on talking about the coronavirus and some sort, and it was like a legit person. I forget if it was with the CDC. I think it might have been with the CDC, but it was like a legit thing. But YouTube pulled it down because they don't want anyone talking about coronavirus that doesn't say the approved rhetoric. And I found that out, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm pissed. Like, YouTube's cool because it allows me to do what I'm doing right here, but it's also really fucking shitty. And they fuck over a lot of people, and they control what you hear. So as long as you're aware of that, if someone else, I'm for competition. So what I like is, I don't really like Spotify. I had it a long time ago. I switched over to Google Play Music. But if it's gonna force other players in the club to say, hey, let's step up and try to fill this void, competition makes everything better. So that's what I'm for. I'm for the free market coming in and trying to say, oh, hey, we're going to do something that YouTube won't. And then YouTube has to respond and be like, well, we're going to do something that they won't. And then consumers win. So let's see. Dane says, I try to buy anything in shades of green. That heather green is noise. I don't know what you're talking about, Dane. That's between you and your heather green. Melissa says, Ash, I hope you stick around. Well, I'm telling you, if Spotify offers me $100 million, I'm not sticking around. But don't worry, they're not going to offer me. They're not going to offer me $10. So I'll probably be here for a while until YouTube bans me. Which could happen. They're banning lots of people, so who knows? I was always kind of playing the game of my channel's so minuscule that I'm way below radar. Like, it's and this is kind of what I like YouTube. This is what YouTube started out as, right? Remember does anyone here remember the days when YouTube didn't have star creators and like people didn't make money? Like, YouTube was just a place for people to go and throw up videos, and that was it. And like, it's funny how it's evolved. When Google bought it, I don't remember how many years ago. It's been quite a few. I mean, it's been over 10 years. I remember when Google bought YouTube and they paid $1 billion for it. And at the time, everyone was like, oh my God, $1 billion for YouTube. Like, are you crazy? That doesn't even, there's no money. Like, YouTube doesn't make money. And everyone was like, how's Google going to monetize this? What's going to happen? And, for years, YouTube was in the red. It didn't make any money, And now it's kind of funny. You turn around and you look at other things like, Disney bought Star Wars for $4.5 billion. Microsoft bought Minecraft I think sold for like over 2 billion. I want to say it was like 2.5 billion. That number I'm a little sketchy on. But I think it was around 2 to 2.5 billion for Minecraft. And now all of a sudden it's like the $1 billion for YouTube seems like a super deal. It's like, but we'll see if it sticks around. And if Google can continue to fend off any competitors to the market. I'm really honestly surprised that Facebook hasn't been better competitor. I know Facebook's been doing videos for a while, but man, are they bad at it. They're bad in the way that Amazon has been bad at competing with Netflix. It's like, do you guys even understand how to sell digital entertainment? Like, you guys are really great at selling books and you're really great at having like an online marketplace, but as far as like being a digital interface and going and watch, like your stuff sucks. Your to even go to it, like you got to go to the Amazon web. It's terrible. And it's better. It's a way better than it used to be. But man, for years in Amazon Prime movie stuff, it's like you don't know what you're doing. Facebook feels like the same way. It's like, you guys. Anyways, I am looking forward to competitors. Eric Breen says, I get all my virus news from MSNBC and Twitter blue checks. Well, Eric, I consider you a well-informed individual. Eric, I'll let you know how the Snickers maple almond butter squares turn out. What? How come you're not letting me know how the Snickers almond butter squares are? Not a fan of maple, but we'll see. That's a weird choice to put with Snickers. Dane says Rorschach reviews posts to YouTube, but double posts his more controversial stuff to BitChute, so he's saved somewhere when they come for him. BitChute is cool. I hope it succeeds. I have a BitChute account. I haven't used it in a long time. And here's the problem. No one watches BitChute. So it's and you can't make any money. Well, you can't make any money because they don't have any revenue sharing. And even if they did have revenue sharing, no one watches BitChute. So your stuff is saved for posterity. Like, you could post something up there and you can be like, oh, this is taken down. You can go see it there. That's pretty cool. Like, but it's in the BitChute is the digital gulag. Like, no one even cares that your stuff is there because no one watches it. In Disguise is in the house. He says, meep, meep, no. And then he's coughing. I hope you're wearing a mask in Disguise because, he could be spreading the CCP virus. Dane says, kind of hard to find stuff on there. Yeah. That's just the way things are. So tonight we're going to have a little experiment. Because I didn't get to finish and because my channel or my video got pulled mid-stream, we're going to try again. And, whoops, what am I doing here? We're going to try again, and I'm going to finish, well, I'm going to start over instead of picking up the issue halfway. But I'm going to read the Fantastic Four issue from last night that didn't get finished. And then I'm also going to read the following issue, and that's why it's a double-double. And I'm not going to try to do America Chavez tonight because that very well could have been the reason I got yanked. Someone could have been very upset that I was making fun of queer brown folk and decided that they needed to report me to the authorities of YouTube. In Disguise says, why do you insult me so? What? I'm not insulting you. Or are you referring to Dane? Is he insulting you? Marania's in the house. And she's talking about Canadian butt. So back to Zack Snyder and the Snyder Cut. This is a weird controversy to me. I don't get it. Pardon me while I have a drink of some Pepsi. The Snyder Cut has been something that's been kind of popularized around the the social media sphere, the whole hashtag release the Snyder Cut. And I think those kind of things are fun when fans are enthusiastic and they're like, yeah, dude, reviews, I never in a million years thought we would ever see the Snyder Cut. Never. But it was fun to see fans be like, release the Snyder Cut. And it was fun to see Zack Snyder even, backing it and him retweeting that stuff. And for those of you that don't know, there might be a few of you, the Zack Snyder Cut is referring to the Justice League movie. And he didn't finish that movie, and Joss Whedon had to come in and finish it and shoot some scenes and do his own cut and release the film. And it's pretty much a box office disaster. And that's it. Now, a lot of people aren't happy with Zack Snyder's treatment of the DCEU. They didn't like the Batman versus Superman or even Man of Steel. And they didn't like Justice League, which they blame him, even though he didn't get to finish the film. Now, here's the thing. He didn't walk away from the film. He didn't get fired from the film. His daughter committed suicide while he was filming it. And that was this extremely tragic event. So he was pretty much not emotionally there to finish the film. So Warner Brothers let him step off, which is understandable. Like, I can't imagine what it must be like to have a father lose a daughter. That was pretty horrible. And at that point, I give him a pass on anything in the film. Like, he didn't finish it. He didn't get a chance to. And it wasn't because he was, goofing off on the job or slacking off. Like, he had a tragic circumstance in his life. Joss Whedon, who was super successful in the Avengers, thought of maybe being a great choice to finish it. Of course, they're wildly different directors. Scott Snyder has a completely different vision than Josh. So in that sense, it's kind of a weird choice. But a lot of people are just like, screw Scott, he had a chance to make his film and he didn't. Well, dude, yeah, he had a chance and he didn't, but it wasn't like he just was like, screw it. Like, shit happened. It was pretty terrible. Now, if you don't like the Justice League film, that's perfectly acceptable. If you don't like Scott Snyder's film, that's perfectly acceptable. If you're not interested in seeing the film, the Snyder Cut, that's perfectly cool too. What I don't understand is the vitriol that people are like, what? They're making a Snyder Cut? This is stupid. And people are getting pissed off that it's actually getting made now. And I'm just like, why? Why is this a bad thing that it's getting made? Like, it doesn't take away from the version that's out there. So if you're a huge fan, if you love Justice League, if you're like, Justice League is my favorite, like, if it's still there, it's not being altered, right? If you hate Justice League, if you're like, screw that, well, you have a slight possibility, even if it's like 1,000,000 to 1 shot, that this cut could make the film redeemable. So why not let it happen? And even if it totally sucks, even if it turns out even worse than than the version that exists, who cares? It doesn't affect anything. So I'm all for it, actually. I happen to be a Scott Snyder fan, even though I don't really like the DCEU films. I think Man of Steel was the best Superman movie ever made up until Pa Kent died. And then after that, it turned into this weird Dragon Ball Z wannabe type movie that just bored me. Despite being nothing but Superman punching people through buildings and getting punched through buildings, it bored me to tears. It was like the longest fight. And it went on for like an hour. It felt like this fight. And it was like, I was like, I didn't care. And I think it's a total misunderstanding of the character to think that Superman is just about punching people. I think that's how you might do a Hulk movie. That would have been pretty neat. Hulk smash, but Superman, on the other hand, is really about, it's about the choices he makes and why he makes them. and the restraint that he shows and his character. It's not about his invulnerability and his super strength and all that stuff. I think when you make stories about him in those fashion, you're missing the point, and that's why people think, oh, the character's boring. Because, well, yeah, if that's all it is, if it's just him in gladiatorial combat, okay, but when you put it and have him facing the personal dilemmas and the moral dilemmas and trying to always do what's right, even though, it's just, I'm not going to go in on that, but I think you guys that know Superman understand that. I think Zack Snyder's, sorry, I always get those guys mixed up. Zack Snyder's take on it was kind of way off. Now, some people think Man of Steel is the greatest Superman film. Well, that's great. But anyways, I just think that why not have more things, right? If Warner Brothers is willing to give him money to finish his cut, why care? Like, I can either be enthusiastic about it because you're like, this is cool, I'm interested, or if you're not interested, just be like, all right, well, I'm happy at least that for those who are interested get to have it, right? And then I hear the take because Paul Feig is his name. I always mix it up. He's the guy that did the Ghostbusters, the all-female Ghostbuster movie. That's just pretty much universally hated. So he kind of commented on this early on, saying, "Oh, that's great. He's going to get to do his movie because I got like a 3.5 hour cut of my film. The Ghostbusters we can release." And then everyone was just like, "Well, God, this is going to set a bad precedent, right? Now, if we get released the Snyder cut, then now we're going to start seeing all these crap movies." And it's like, well, hold on a second. There's a lot of people that have been wanting the Snyder cut. No one's been asking for this Ghostbusters cut, except maybe Paul Feig. And if they do release it again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying. I didn't go watch the original. I'm not going to go watch the 3.5 hour cut. Just ignore it. Like, it doesn't have to invade your life. We don't have to be outraged because bad things are being made. We can just ignore it, and we can be happy for the people who like those things, even though we don't. We say, okay, that's cool. You get something you like. I'm glad for you. Move on. But it's weird to see all this back and forth vitriol of people who are like, oh, I can't believe it. And, just getting mad, like the shill media just calling out Warner Brothers as if they were doing some sort of horrendous, diabolical thing. Like, how dare you give Zack Snyder some money to finish his movie? Like, what? It's so weird. So weird. Let's see. Tehillim says they prefer womanizer Whedon cut. Well, let's be honest, Tehillim. Hollywood is not full is full of people who aren't exactly extolling virtue. So being a womanizer is probably one of the lesser crimes in Hollywood compared to what's really going on there. Whedon wanted to do the Batgirl movie because of his womanizing. He was kicked off. I don't know. I honestly don't think Hollywood really cares. I mean, if they're going to let James Gunn do movies, I mean, they don't care. They don't care at all. All they care about is publicity, right? PR. If you can get away with it and it doesn't cost you ticket sales, they don't give a shit. I mean, they give Roman Polanski standing ovations at the Academy Awards, right? So this is a town that literally stands up and praises child sodomizers. I mean, it's not even like suspected. This guy was found guilty and fled the States. He's a fugitive for raping little girls. And Hollywood gives him awards and cheers him on. So womanizing, that's nothing. That's nothing. That's why I find it funny when, when Roseanne got fired off of her show because she made that one little tweet or whatever. They don't care. These people are the sickest of the sick. What they do care about is the image that it created. Right? James Gunn. Remember his tweets got leaked and he had all those pedophilia tweets that got leaked and everyone, oh, he got fired. He's not doing Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And then it died down and Warner Brothers hired him to do Suicide Squad. And then, oh, guess what? James Gunn's hired to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3 again. And no one cares. That's all that Hollywood cares. All Hollywood cares about is the image. And so now we're going to get Guardians of the Galaxy 3 by child pedo, and he's sick and disgusting, and no one's gonna care. We're all gonna go see it. Let's see. Nolan Nerd is in the house. John Campea said it's the best Superman movie ever. And John Campea, I used to love. Does anyone remember when John Campea did the movie blog? Does anyone go back that far? He used to have just an internet blog called the Movie Blog, and that was the best shit. John Campea was on point. And he had this comedian that was sort of like his co-host. And I can't remember the name. He wasn't a big time name guy. He was a Canadian. They're both Canadians. And it was really cool because John Campea would play like the straight man. And he would play, you know, the movie critic and everything. And the comedian would just, you know, make all the jokes and roast stuff. And it worked beautiful. And they were true movie fans. There was no shill to it. And then he came and moved to Hollywood, and now look at John Campea is night and day difference. He's very eloquent. I think he knows how to talk, but I find him really hard to listen to nowadays because he is such a shill and he's so phony. And I'm like I can't listen to you because you're not actually giving me real thoughts and opinions, which is what I cared about. You're now just trying to say the things that the movie companies want you to say so that you can have the access and continue to be a name. And he's making money. I mean, that's his job. But whatever. Nolaners, I thought the Baby Yoda show was really great. Gina Carano, the actress, is perfect for it. I disagree. I think The Mandalorian was an okay show. But given the absolute ridiculous levels of vitriol towards The Last Jedi, and then seeing those same people that criticize Last Jedi just get massive boners over Mandalorian, I don't get it. That show is far and away less quality on so many levels. I mean, The Mandalorian is a cool character, and I love Baby Yoda. I really do. I love aspects of it. I love the whole lone wolf and cub reference. You know, the homage that it's trying to play. I think that's great. But man, does that show do some ridiculously stupid things. And the last episode where they basically made fun of themselves and did like this sort of like YouTube video like spoof of like troopers. Like, I was like, this is retarded. Like, this is a Disney Plus level. This is supposed to be Star Wars. This is Lucasfilm. And this looks like I'm watching a YouTube video spoof of like Troopers. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Troopers. It's like a fan film. It's like based on Cops. Remember the reality show Cops? But instead of real cops, it was stormtroopers. And it's a funny fan film stuff. But when Lucasfilm is doing that inside their own content, you're just like, it was some of the most cringe stuff I've ever seen. It's absolutely terrible. But Baby Yoda's neat. I'm really halfway excited and halfway having anxiety over what they're going to do with Ahsoka Tano. But we'll see. Melissa says, turning Harley lesbian erased the Dee Dee twins from the existence, also doing parts of Batman. I don't know. But you knew it was about time. I think DC turning Harley lesbian is the funniest thing because it's all being done under the pretense of, you know, like being woke and stuff. But they're basically kind of admitting that you can turn gay. And this is a real thing actually too. Like the Harley Quinn is interesting character because she mimics real life. She represents women who have troubles with men, and this happens in abusive relationships, right? We know about this. There's women who get in abusive husbands, relationships with abusive husbands, and they go through some traumatic experiences, and it forever messes up their life. They have to sometimes they live in a woman's home and things like that. And it's actually a known thing. Some women will turn lesbian. Now, whether they're truly lesbian in the same sense of the word that we talk about, I don't know, but they just turn to lesbian relationships. They just can't be with men anymore, so they start seeking out women. Now, these are people that were completely heterosexual all their lives until they had these traumatic experiences. But the woke crowd will always tell you that you're born this way, 100%. So now they're making a character, and the thing about Harley Quinn is her whole purpose was to be this abusive lapdog of the Joker, right? But they had to do away with that because, oh my gosh, that's not politically correct to have a woman be abused by a man. Well, it's certainly not a nice thing. We don't want to promote that, but Joker's a villain. Like, he doesn't do nice things. Like, he abuses women. Harley Quinn is an example of what an abusive relationship does. And so they're trying to get away with that. And the way that they're doing it is by turning her gay. It's just like you're following all the so instead of having her be actually triumphant and independent and be a strong woman, you're basically playing into the mental abuse and how it destroyed her as a person. And they're doing, and if anyone actually really cared about political correctness, if anyone actually cared about what these statements really say, they would be against this. But that crowd, they're not aware enough to understand what this represents. Maybe a couple years down the road, after things start getting pointed out to them, they'll be like, "Wait a minute, this is really problematic that Harley Quinn's turned gay." Like, then they'll try to write how she always was, and that the Joker was just some weird tryst thing. Yeah, whatever. Harley Quinn is just the dumbest character. Ever since they brought her over to the comics and changed her into this modern thing, she's been stupid. It's one of the worst characters ever created. Waiting for the 3-hour cut of America movie. Well, they have to make an America movie first. That could be amazing if you did it right. I'm really behind. I cannot keep It's so good. Jimmy says, "Sorry, but we're 45 minutes in and I haven't even read a panel." Not being mean. Well, Jimmy, what you need to say is, get to the comics, you monkey. That's what I'm here for. That's what I pay you for. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting to the comic now because Jimmy is being mean. And apparently I am not giving him the show that he wants. So I will stop talking because Jimmy has demanded it. It is time for Fantastic Four. Let's get on with the show. My apologies to those who are having deja vu right now. The city, it changes you. The Baxter Building, New York City. We see some hands crawling out of the sewer lid. Sewer lid pops up. Someone's crawling out. Looks like some moloids. It is moloids. Yay, we're free. Blam! Mack truck hits him. Oh. One of them looks like they're dead. And they pop his head off. Good night, Melissa. Welcome to the Baxter Building, home of Alert, Recognition Override, Hostile Identified, Security Parameters Coming Online, Warning, Authority Figures Being Alerted. I like how the Fantastic Four are just kind of like sitting here posing. Just like, this is how they stand around together while they're just doing nothing, waiting for some sort of alert. So I thought that was funny. Seconds later, I think that's far enough. What are you doing here? Fantastic Four, numbered 4. Oh, I read that wrong. Fantastic, numbered 4. I bring you a message from the Mole Man. Spit it out before I knock your head back on or something. Well? Please clear the lobby. Rumble, rumble, rumble. My oldest of adversaries. There is chaos in the underworld. Subterranea is in peril, and I believe you are my only hope. You say the problem is here. This reads as nothing more than a geothermal vent. It's disguised so that it appears natural, but I assure you, Dr. Richards, the ascension engine that powers the abandoned city is most certainly not. You've heard of the city, yes? No. The city failed life's work of Herbert Wyndham, the High Evolutionary. He built a Darwin bubble, away from the prying eyes of hypocrisy of mainstream science. He would finally be able to experiment in a closed environment as he wished. He would push the limits of evolutionary science, and then, triumphant in his discovery, raise the city to the surface for all to see. It didn't work. Instead of rapid evolution as it spun up, the ascension engine began to devolve those within the city. The High Evolutionary and his new men were forced to flee. They also failed to deactivate the machine. The city was later found by my moloids, not knowing what it was, and possessing the ignorant curiosity of lesser creatures. They ventured inside. Who would have known that the devolved form of the moloid was something resembling a human being? Who could have guessed there would be more alarming change? If the High Evolutionary had remained in the city until the engine completely spun up, his intelligence would have been magnified, increased to a superhuman level. Fascinating. Is that why you can speak? Is the change permanent? Yes. For those who are like myself, we're born in the city. We're born in the city. I left because we're considered pariahs, outcasts. That's okay, Mr. Head. If you need to, you can stay here with us. I hate to be that guy, but does any of this have to do with us? Because, my boy, they're going to raise the city. Deep within Aeola's cave, passage leading to Subterranea. Later. Everyone get comfortable. The ship wasn't built for this, so things could get a little hairy. We could have burrowed straight down. No. Drilling down would collapse the cavern, and the city lies on a fault line that could trigger a seismic event, so we'll take a safer approach. And I've been this way before. My God, is that? Yes. This is where I buried the Galactus from the future. This marks the edge of the underworld. Dum, dum, dum. Now, as I understand it, this is where I got cut off on the stream. So I'm going to pause here for a moment. Now we're caught up. Hopefully Jimmy has settled down and actually gone to do his midterm instead of bitching at me. And hopefully he's sent me a few bucks so that I can actually be in his employ. rather than be his slave, because I know Jimmy doesn't like slaves, right? You're against slavery, right, Jimmy? Right. Yeah. All right. I'll be looking for that check. Just kidding. Um, let's see. Nola says, good night, Melissa. Stay away from Minnesota. Yeah, everyone stay away from Minnesota. Holy jeez. Whew. Eek. Yeah, it's terrible. I'm not going to talk about that right now. Dane says, blarg, 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 blarg. He pretty much has my my reading pretty spot on. Nola says, detail and effort is great. Yeah, this art is dope as fuck. This artist Dave Eaglesham is SJW a-hole. Treats fans like shit, but he's been pretty quiet for a long time, so I'm not gonna hold too much against him. And I do have to give credit where credit is due. The art's beautiful, and I like where this is going. Deep within Subterranea. Later. Beautiful, isn't it? It ain't bad, but that ain't really what I'm paying attention to. Is something bothering you, Grim? Nope, not a thing. I'm just waiting until you show your true colors, so I can clobber me a little person. Ah, you think I'm up to my old ways. You saying that ain't the case, pal? I no longer want to destroy society, Grim. I don't even care about the surface. Look at what this place has become. The fall of man and the end of the world. I just want to make my kingdom, and I want it to be that. Mine. You're talking about the Moloids going to the city and becoming something other than your slaves, right? Certain creatures should be content with what they are. Nobody should have to be a monster that doesn't want to be. Did you know that Moloids in the city refuse to reproduce? They did at first, but the process they underwent made their children like the one that you met at the Baxter building. Just as intelligent, but they still had their old skin. A constant reminder of what has been. So they stopped having babies. Now, they only grow their numbers by absorbing my people into the city. Did you know what they did to those children? They abandoned them in the area underneath the city. They left them to survive all alone. Now, there are only a few left. So I ask you, which is better? Simple creatures who know nothing more than the community and the comfort of their family? Or enlightened individuals who abandon those things for their own personal gain? We stopped. Is this the end of the line? Oh no, we'll be going much deeper. Johnny Storm's flaming on. He's melting the cavern. And Sue's holding up the tunnel from melting on top of them. It's kind of clever. I love this part. So they do this, and then they drop through the hole into the cavern city of Lechuguila. Damn, that's cool. This is my favorite, or at least it's one of the aspects of Fantastic Four that I like, that separates them from other Marvel comics. And that's the whole adventurer / explorer aspect. It's almost like the Fantastic Four are the Star Trek of Marvel. And I mean that in the sense of the original Trek, where it was all about going to strange new worlds, seeking new life, new civilization. Like, that going into the unknown, I think, is a really cool aspect. And it's not necessarily suitable for every comic. And it's something I didn't appreciate as a kid, for sure. But if they make Fantastic Four movies in the future, this is what I want to see. I want to see the Fantastic Four as a family and as a team going to strange places like this. And this could be spectacular on the silver screen. Beneath that, through the underwater city of Merrimack. And they go into the water. This is cool. And look at this. We have like, is this like mermoloids? Didn't even know those existed. To our final destination. There it is. I like this panel here. I like we're seeing Sue and Ben are both kind of like in shock. You know, they're like, oh, whoa, what's that? But Reed Richards, look at his face. It's just, you know, nothing amazes him. It's just concentration. Everything's cerebral, a puzzle to be figured out. The gates of the abandoned city of the High Evolutionary. Oh man, what a sweet. That's another sweet panel. This is what the comics excel at, is having this sense of awe and wonder. And, you know, these days you could do this on the big screen, but how often do you see movies do this that aren't actually basing it off of a book or a comic book? Like, how often are new movies coming out that do this sort of crazy, inventive, you know, was it James Cameron's Avatar was the last one? You know, like, I mean, we get movies like Lord of the Rings and we get the Star Wars movies, but those are all rehashes, right? I mean, as good as they might be, they're just copying something that already existed. To get this new sense, this is great. This is what comics are great at. We're too late. The city has already begun to rise. The entire cavern is going to collapse. We have to get out of here. Ben, what are you? Stick around as long as you can. Wait, Ben, stop. Sorry, Stretch. I got something to do. Rook, what's happening? This city, it changes you. Where are the children? We keep the animals in their pens, on the underside of the city. Damn, that took effect pretty fast. That's a little bit, even in the whole Fantastic Four realm, this whole fantasy, the fact that Ben Grimm changed that quickly seems a little bit kind of hard to believe. But he jumps down, smash. He's digging down, presumably trying to get to the Undercity. Where is everyone else? We're all that's left. Come on. I'm getting you out of here. Here they come. Good thing, because the entire roof is getting ready to come down. Ben, what happened to... Later, Susie. Kids, buckle yourselves in tight. Reed, let's go. Where are we going to go? The world is caving in on... Oh, Reed, look. Maybe. Sue, you're going to need to shield us. Here we go. The mole man left? Yes. A while ago, he slithered back beneath the earth to rally what's left of his kingdom, I'm sure. This really is amazing. What we thought would crack the earth was instead designed to seal behind itself, creating a solid foundation beneath the city as it rose. So what's going to happen now? I'm not sure. Accusations, fear, politics, no doubt will be involved. Regardless, they're here to stay. I'm just saying. Reed says it'll take an hour or so to wear off. Seriously, don't dismiss this. People love monkeys, and it's a good look for you. Shut up. Did you get the children settled? Yeah, but there's something funny about those kids. They have an inhuman perspective and an unnatural level of intelligence, men. They're a product of their city. And what about their intentions? I wouldn't worry about it. They're not so special that we won't be able to handle them if they're up to no good. Still, a man-made city raised from the deep within the earth, run by super genius devolved monsters. You don't see that every day. Yeah. Ain't that something? Dun dun dun. Crazy. One hour and 23 minutes after leaving the city, Ben Grimm reverted to his non-devolved state. Experimentation conducted on the edge of the city suggests that a level of containment suits will prevent the effects of the High Evolutionary's ascension engine. 4 days after rising, diplomatic envoys from the United States government opened a dialogue with the Forever City of the High Evolutionary regarding territorial rights. Negotiations broke down over the demand from Forever City's ambassadors that it be treated as an independent nation-state within the continental U.S. border. Checkpoints were constructed to restrict access until a resolution acceptable to both parties can be reached. Mediation continues. After 2 weeks, the Moloid children who were rescued from the city show no signs of diminished intelligence. Where there is water and life. Where there is water and life lived in it, there are giants. All right. That is the end of first issue there. Let's see what you guys in the chat are all going on about. Jimmy says slavery is bad, indentured servitude good. Jimmy. Let's see. Nola's going off on rushed panels. I wasn't noticing channels being rushed, but perhaps. Dane says Dale's a good draftsman, but his Reed and Johnny body types are all wrong. Yeah, he does. Well, not just Reed and Johnny. Look at Sue. All three of them are like overly muscular. But that's based on traditional types. I personally don't have a problem with it, to be honest. I like my superheroes muscular. And it's actually kind of refreshing to see Reed Richards not drawn as a little twig. And if you're off saving the world, doing stuff like that all the time, I believe you probably would be in really good shape or keeping yourself in really good shape. So it does defy the normal traditional visual stylings, but not in any way that seems to go against the spirit of the book, in my opinion. So I think that's just a visual taste. Let's see. Ronnie says, these days, true, Nola. I'm just spoiled with really good art. Nola says, me too. Why can't Marco Cicchetto or Ryan Stegman or Dan Mora ever draw or draw every book? I was like, they do draw books. Well, as good as those guys are, they're not even the best. I can think of several artists I would have above those guys, but they are the better ones at Marvel, so I'll give them that. And Rodney responds, I'm more of an Ivan Rice, Tony S. Daniels, Jason Fabok, Gary Frank fan myself. Those aren't the ones I would have picked, but those are some solid artists over at DC. I'm a big fan personally of Jorge Jimenez. He's very stylistic in his art style, but man, if you go back and look at his like Super Sons, the first 10 issues of Super Sons, or the Justice League he did with Scott Snyder, man, he's fantastic. And then there's also, of course, Sean Gordon Murphy is amazing. So let's see. The panel with the ship, though, that's awesome. One of the things I really liked about this book was it focused on, or it celebrated the awesomeness of backgrounds or the environment, right? Most comic books, especially lesser comics, tend to just focus on the figure, the main character, just cool action scenes of drawing the human body. In fact, a lot of comic book artists, you can spot their weakness are the ones that they can draw like figures really well, but they can't really do backgrounds for shit or cars or technology. But when you can draw really cool scenery and backdrops and environment, and just like let the camera essentially pull away and see some of these magnificent shots, that's really cool. And it helps me kind of get lost in the fantasy and just be like, this would be such a crazy thing to see. Ronnie says, okay, hearing the artists, they look like they cared, not the panel with the Reed and the Mole Man. Blah, 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 blah. Jimmy says something about loving Hickman. He's currently writing a love letter. He's not really writing a midterm, folks. He's writing a love letter to Hickman. You could admit it, Jimmy. Dane says, I miss John Byrne. Hey, John Byrne's a good guy. Well, at least he's a talented writer and artist. Let's see. Nolan Nerd says, Neil Adams' first Fantastic Four art in a comic. I'm going to check it out. More power to you, buddy. Neil Adams' art today is not what it used to be, and I'm not giving Mark Waid a dime. I'm not paying. Mark Waid could suck me. No, I wouldn't even let him do that. Let's see. Dane says, actually can't wait. Hope Wade can pull back on his attitude. Nope. Then he says, okay, can't handle two Hickmans. Love you, my children. Good night and God bless. Oh, you can't handle two Hickmans? But this was a good Hickman. This was a good one. He went down to the cavern in a mole man, and this is good. Oh, I'm sad. Nola says, I won't be looking either. I want to read good FF. It will have to hit me over the head for me to notice. But I don't know what you mean. Marani says, I gave Wade an open chance for his Doctor Strange, and it's quite good. I've liked most of modern past 3+ years runs of Strange overall. That's fine. I'm not saying Mark Waid can't write anything good. The dude's a raging asshole. He hates comics fans. He hates people like you and me. He's outright worked against the interests of things that I've supported, such as originally the whole concept of our boy Zach, Diversity in Comics, getting his book published into comic book stores. He actively committed tortious interference, which is a lawsuit going. I actually gave Richard money to help see his books go into comic book stores. Mark Waid went against that. He calls us all sorts of names, thinks we're dog shit. No, F that dude. F that dude. Screw him. I don't know why. I mean, your money is your money. Everyone should, you pay what you want. But no, that dude is one of the worst things in the comic book industry, and I'll never give a dime towards anything he produces. And anyone that hires him to do a comic book, I don't want to even give them any money. Screw that. It's like going to a restaurant and knowing, like the waiter says, F you. Are you gonna just sit there and be like, okay, I'll wait for my steak? Like, no, you'd get up and be like, screw you, I'm not eating here. So, I that's me. That's me. I'm not gonna. If you still want to buy his stuff, more power to you. But sorry, I'm really mad. Mark Waid is enemy number one, and I think I get a little rambunctious, a little zealous when I feel like enough time has gone by that people have kind of forgotten all that he's done. And so the wounds have kind of healed up, and now people are just like, well, whatever. Mark Waid, that was in the past. We'll just. No, I'm like, I'm not moving on. I'm holding a grudge. So that's where I'm at. Nola says, laughing my ass off, Ash. I'm trying to keep an open mind, but I respect your principle. Yeah, and here's the thing. It has nothing to do with thinking Mark Waid sucks. He may very well be able to write a great comic book, right? That has nothing to do with his talent. He has just crossed a point of no return for me. And at this point, it's about my self-respect and my principles that I'm just not going to go back on. Now, that might be different if Mark Waid came out and apologized. If Mark Waid was like, look, I've had to, examine myself over the past couple of years, and I think I've done some bad mistakes. I think I want to try to be better. If he showed some sort of level of remorse or wanting to change, I might consider changing my opinion, but this guy absolutely does not. He absolutely, he's racist. His books, he writes about terrorism terrorists as heroes now. No, screw this guy. Screw him. Screw Mark Waid. No, forget it. Yeah. Jimmy says Wade's Doctor Strange is pretty good. I've enjoyed it a lot. All right. Well, that's I don't care. Most of Marvel's stuff sucks, so it's easy for me to miss. Marvel doesn't want my business, then they don't get it. We're going to move on to part 2 of the show. Another new comic. For those of you that don't like to have doubleheader Hickmans, this will not be a regular thing. This is just for tonight because I didn't want to go on to this issue with only having half of the last issue. So I wanted some continuity. So thanks for putting up with that. I know some people like Dane didn't want to stick around, and I'm sorry. Dane, if you are still around listening, like I said, it's not going to happen again. I got to figure out something to read for the next, and we're actually getting towards the end. I think this is probably the last issue of Hickman's Fantastic Four that I'll be doing. So, yeah, hopefully it ends on a bang. We'll see. Here we go. Okay. I know it's tough to focus with super smart moloid kids running around and digging into everything, but pay attention, boys, or I'll send you to the corner. All right, is this a little bit sensual here for a second? Like, is this the part where I make the comment about it? You can send me to the corner anytime you want. Okay, I'm not gonna get. Let's keep moving. This is Vostok Station, a research facility built by Russian explorers in the 1950s. Its only remarkable trait being that it was the most isolated base in all of Antarctica, the only hot spot in a cold and unforgiving place. Jump forward to 1973, when radar imaging revealed the largest suspended body of water in the entire continent, some 13,000 feet beneath the surface. It's massive. Best estimates show the area to be somewhere around 6,000 square miles. Much more interesting than that The point really is that Lake Vostok has been an isolated habitat for over 500,000 years. Any life that may have formed there will have followed a divergent but parallel evolutionary path from our own. For decades, biologists and geologists tried unsuccessfully to explore this area with traditional methods and equipment. But outside of some impressive ice core samples and interesting thermal data, they had nothing to show for their efforts. Then, 4 years ago, a select group of scientists won a grant from our primary research foundation, and Reed provided them with some next-generation scanning equipment, making high-resolution mapping of the underground lake from the surface possible. And, after using it, they found something fascinating. There's some kind of superstructure at the heart of Lake Vostok. As you can imagine, after that, we really got involved. We began what we thought was a methodical and systematic plan for safely launching a series of deep water probes before eventually sending a manned exploratory team down there. Because, slow and steady.
Right. Steady like a rock.
No, you idiot. Turtle. Slow and steady like a turtle. Wins the race. It's slow and steady wins the race. Forget it. Moving on.
Just cut to the chase, Susie. Tell us why we're here.
Something's come up. Last week, I noticed a data leak on our remote mainframe and discovered AIM had cracked our systems in Antarctica. So we retasked a satellite and discovered that they had secretly been slant drilling from a location 5 miles away. They want whatever's down there as well, and they are preparing to launch exploratory vehicles in the next 24 hours. Meaning that if we want to get there first, our science team at the South Pole no longer has the luxury of sending down probes. This is going to have to be a manned mission from the get-go. And I volunteered us.
Why?
Because, is there anything we do better than exploration? And what was I talking about earlier? That's right. Exploration.
Beat up people?
Date hot women? We leave in 45 minutes.
Crash!
Dunk. See, because Ben Grimm fell backwards on his seat and he's so big he crashed into the wall. That's funny. Meanwhile, 4 hours later. Did someone order pizza? Oh, jeez. What the hell is Human Torch wearing? Gay. That's gay. Sorry. The Discovery Building. Future Foundation. Vostok Exploratory Station. Project 2B. Hello, Doctor. It's good to see you again, Susan. Reed, this is Dr. Calvin Cooley. Cal, this is my husband, Reed. Hi. It's an honor, Dr. Richards. I want to thank you for providing all of this. No, don't thank me. I'm always in the lab coming up with the next thing. It's Susan who handles all the day-to-day running of the Foundation. I really don't get out enough. This is a very cool place you've got here. Yes, it is. How much longer until we can launch, Cal? Oh, we're ready now. But there are a couple of things that concern us. The pod will have to break through an ice shield to reach the lake. This is within its structural limits, but it's two things hitting each other at high speed, so it's got us a bit anxious. What's really got us worried is the massive thermal vent down there. It's going to be loud. Way too loud for you to effectively communicate with your headgear. And there's no time for a workaround. We think you should scrap the mission. The conditions are too dangerous. But it's your money, and you go down there, so it's your call, Susan. Let's go for a swim. "30 minutes later. 82.25 meters per second. Upper limit of rate descent achieved. Approaching ice shield. Impact in 3, 2, crash." This is not the best. This is a pretty good example here, just a pause, of visual storytelling and why it's so important. Let's rewind. So it's they break into the water. Then we see the panel that focuses on Sue Storm. She sees something. Okay, that's all good. And now they're looking down. And there's 4 of them in the water. And there's something at the bottom, some sort of magma vent or something. And now they're seeing some fish. Okay. And then Richards makes a little cage so they can look at this thing. Okay. And then next thing we know, it looks like Johnny Storm's grabbing him, pointing, what's going on? Something's happening. Oh, let's look. At this point, I'm kind of following. Okay, so something's happening. What's going on? Then this is like... At first, I didn't know who that was. Turns out it's Ben, but I was like, oh, what? I don't understand what's happening. Is he falling? Then Sue touches her head. I don't know. Everyone's just looking down, and then we see him come up in a bubble. I guess she raises him up. It's not really bad storytelling. It just took me like to go through it a second time to really kind of talk it out to myself to figure out what was kind of happening. And then now they look up and see these crystals. Something is like boring into the area. It's not real clear to me. I don't know if it's clear to you guys. And some weird crustaceans have been disturbed and they're coming out. And then the ship blasts one. Looks like Reed is upset. And then we see forms popping out of whatever that is. Some new creatures. Meanwhile, we still don't know what this submarine is. Now these new creatures are swimming at the sub. Okay, so it's an AIM sub. So AIM people dive out. And now they're having fights with the creatures. The Fantastic Four get involved. I'm going to guess the whole issue was that Ben Grimm was like sinking like a stone because he is a stone. But my mind didn't go there originally because I would figure why would they even outfit him in gear if that was the case? Like they knew he would sink. Like it's confusing me. Like, so. What's happening here? I don't know. Reed is using his elasticity to do something. Is he throwing? Is he throwing Ben Grimm? Yes, he is. Okay, so Ben crashes through. That seems kind of reckless. Like you just compromised the sub. And then Sue just completely destroys the sub? What? It's hard to follow what's happening. We got a standoff between the Fantastic Four and the weird new creature people. And then I'm guessing they're back inside the somewhere. Amazing. It's some kind of telepathic communication device. Wait a second. Where did this come from? I'm rewinding here. I don't see, like, just out of nowhere, they're looking at each other, and the next panel is they've somehow got some creature thing that goes into their ear, and they somehow got through the watertight suit. This doesn't make any sense.
Don't care. I look ridiculous.
More ridiculous. You look more ridiculous. So where do you think they're taking us? It's like the world's biggest sushi bar. And then apparently this guy is offended by that comment. Like he knows what sushi is or something. That's not a good look, pal.
Hey, Johnny, royalty.
Bring them forward. I am Ul Huar, regent of the peak, king of the Uhari. Welcome to the kingdom of Atlantis. Wait, what? This isn't Atlantis. Atlantis? This isn't Atlantis. It's destroyed, ruins at the bottom of the world.
Atlantis is the sea, boy.
Where there is water and life lived in it. Oh, that's not the voice. Where there is water and life lived in it, there are giants. This is simply the way things are. But we are confused. You both came from above. You and they are the same. Yet, They came here to do violence, and you tried to stop them. How is this possible? I don't understand. You see evidence of 3 races before you, the only 3 that survived the Great Fall. We each have our own cultures. We each have our own rulers. But at times like these, one person has the authority to speak for all. So, I represent the kingdom and all of its people. If not you, then tell me, who speaks for man? No, that's simply not how our society works. What you were talking about, that role doesn't exist. Humanity is not a collective. There isn't a single. What I'm saying is that no one would ever. I will. What? I will be the voice of man. Susan, it's not your. It's what they understand. And you know why it has to be me. Come forward and tell us who you are. I am Susan Storm Richards. And now, so much more. Susan of the Richards, Susan of the Storm, envoy of man and emissary of the peak. Return from where you came and spread the word. The old kings of Atlantis have returned. If ever we are needed, if ever there is a cause for contact, there is one person with whom they need speak. And in these halls, her name will always echo out. I am Susan Richards, and I speak for all mankind. Okay. Before leaving the peak, Susan Richards was given an access device, the Spiral, to be used if communications was desired by either party. The Old Kingdom is supported by a hydrodynamic apparatus powered by Lake Vostok's internal current, which, as a result of the ice shelf above and the thermal vent below. The 3 races that exist in the Old Kingdom are the Uhari, fish-like in appearance, the Chordai, eel-like in appearance, and the Mala, crab-like in appearance. Traditionally, the Uhari are worker class, the Mala are legal class, and the Chordai are warrior class. Soon after leaving Antarctica, Susan Richards took the first steps towards achieving what she hoped would be a peaceful assembly of all undersea cultures by contacting King Namor via Utopia. Namor has yet to respond. But the Supremor, you see, had other plans. All right. That wraps that up. I was hoping for a better issue. That silent issue thing, Hickman does not have that down. That's the second silent issue. I mean, it wasn't a whole silent issue, so I guess it's not being truly accurate, but it was a big chunk of silence. It didn't work for me there. It didn't get executed quite well. But overall, the book wasn't bad, and I do like the exploration adventure stuff. So it's fun. But man, it started off with a bang. Those first 2 or 3 issues of this series were amazing. And it had a really solid resolution. This has just been adequate so far in my mind, but it's enjoyable. This is something I would not complain if it were a monthly comic coming out and I was buying it. It's solid. Ronnie says, smoking a pipe? How did that pass in Marvel Comics? I know, right? Let's see. Computer robots is in the house. I wonder if Marani likes Fantastic Four in their current outfits by Sarah Pichelli. I don't even know what they look like. I don't mind these outfits. I think they're all right. I think the Fantastic Four have never had good outfits. And they always get worse when they try to stray away from the blue and the white. And they try to do some like, we're going to try to make them look really cool. That never happens. It never works. Ronnie responds, I'll check them out, computer robots, but I do not like the short sleeve uniforms in this run at all. I think they're kind of cool. I like them. Jimmy says, my brain instantly went to, oh, he's sinking, and they outfitted him because he needs a break too? So they put him in diving gear and submersed him in water because he needs a break? Oh, because he needs to breathe. Well, yeah, he needs to breathe. But if they know he's going to sink, why would they even put, like, it made my brain not work right. That like, oh, look, he's sinking. Like, you got the smartest person on the planet, and they didn't calculate that Ben couldn't swim. He was going to sink. That just seemed weird to me. Computer Robot says he's got to go. That's not a good sign. That probably means that Skynet is being activated and that he's going to take over the Earth. So, all right. It's nice knowing you guys. Jimmy says they aren't bad. Sarah Pacelli is awesome. She's pretty good. I like what I've seen of Sarah Pacelli so far. It's sad. I don't think we're ever going to see the J.J. Abrams Spider-Man book get finished. Speaking of Sarah Pacelli, which started off as such a huge announcement by Marvel. Remember that? Oh, J.J. Abrams and his kid are doing a Spider-Man book, and and it just never got finished. It just went off in the memory hole. Jimmy says Hickman's FF is the only FF to me. Well, Jimmy, no offense, but you're really new to comics, so obviously all the newest stuff is the only stuff for you. I don't think the Fantastic Four would be the Fantastic Four if this was the best they ever got. This is the first couple issues were really pretty awesome. I do give it that. But the two issues after those little filler issues were not that great. And these ones are just merely okay. They're solid. They're nothing that I'm gonna so far write home about. So I'm gonna keep reading it. I do like it. I like the science fiction parts of it. And that's something that only Hickman, or he's one of the few people that can really delve into some of the deep thought stuff. Some of the stuff that I hate, though, is this blue page. This look. I mean, it's just like I told a comic book and I did some comic book story, and then I didn't finish the story and I just wrote down what happened. Like, this is not the right way to do things. I like when he does the white pages and they explore some higher level concepts that don't really need to be part of the story, but this is actual plot. This is stuff like she goes and visits Namor, she reaches out to contact Namor, doesn't respond. Like, this all just gets put in the fine print at the end. That's lazy writing. And I blame Marvel editors for actually letting that kind of slip by. But that's my opinion. I am enjoying this. I'm enjoying your guys' company. Appreciate you guys sticking around, listening to the comics. Appreciate you letting me do a double on Hickman to get these done. It is after 11:30 my time. Normally that's kind of my goal. As Jimmy pointed out, I spent way too long talking to you guys, which is a cardinal sin. Sorry, Jimmy. It won't let it happen again. We'll just read the comics like a good monkey. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for putting up with me, listening to all the things I have to say. Thanks for not getting my channel banned yet. I appreciate not being banned. I don't know who's still here, but Doug Johnson's here. Hey, Doug. Good to see you. Shout out to you. And everyone else has fallen asleep. It's late. This is my whole purpose of this channel, though, is to have bedtime stories with Ash so that you can snuggle up in your bed. All right, so my experiment went off with a success. I didn't get pulled by YouTube, which means one of two things. If it was an auto detect by algorithm, that means I didn't violate the algorithm in the same way as last time, which could have been the music. Or if it was reported by someone, that person didn't attend this show or didn't feel the need to report it, or did report it and YouTube said, nope, we're not violating. I don't know. But I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm going to be thankful. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for talking to me. Having some good things to talk about. Keep it coming. I'm not going to do Discord tonight. I've had a lot of things going on today. And I'm kind of beat and exhausted. So Doug says, solid reads. Thanks, Ash. Appreciate that, man. I do my best. I'm not a professional voice actor by any means, but I just try to read books. And hopefully you guys get some enjoyment and get to talk amongst each other. And it's just like it's a comics hangout. That's what this really is about. And I will be back on Sunday night. That's the scheduled time. Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. 10 p.m. Pacific time. And hope to see you get here. I will try to keep reading good comics. Or we'll read America Chavez, one of the two. Or both. So thanks for showing up. I'll see you Sunday night. Have a safe one. Don't get COVID. Keep reading good comics.